Thank you for joining our mini webinar today um, about our export scrub import utility. Um, my name is Sue Vermilia, and I am coming to you from Cheyenne, Wyoming in the United States. I've been with Emerald for 10 years and am kind of right at that 10-year mark. So we'll go ahead and take a look at our utility that allows us to export, import, and scrub a file from a database. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we have a little bit of setup that we need to do prior to running this utility. So I'll show you where these come into play as we go along. So I've set up two folders where I'm going to export my XCRs into from my source database, and where I am going to put my scrubbed files once I am wanting to clean those up prior to putting them into my new database. So the first section, the first module, there are three modules in this utility. There's an export module, a scrub module, and an import module. So the export module can be used to export projects from any type of database. It will list the projects from that database and it lets you pick them. So what you need to do is, first of all, set up on the export module the location of the Primavera Cache Services exe file. This is essentially the shortcut to the database or to the version of P6 that you're going to be using for the database that you're exporting from. So I'm using a standalone database in this case, an SQLite database. I'm putting in the username and password so that it can access that database. And in this configure area here, this is where you would set up what type of database you are exporting from. So you could use a regular cloud API database as well to do this export. But in my case, I'm going to be using this standalone database. Once you get the configuration done, you can click load, and load is going to give you your EPS structure along with the projects that you might want to export. So I'm going to export these two projects from my database so that I can have them as XAR files. And here is where, in this export folder, is where I want those XCRs to be exported to. So this is that directory that I showed you earlier. I can also choose to export each project to the folder that's corresponding to its EPS ID. So we're going to see a folder called SQLite demo files that's produced from this export. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And just to note, Primavera must be closed in order for you to run this utility. However, we do have this little piece, this little check mark up here that's going to basically close down any versions that you have running of Primavera so that it can export. Now, as it's exporting, it's going to show me, what's happening with it. And once it is complete, it will tell me that it's finished my project export. So then I am able to go and look in my file folder where I have it. So you see I've got my EPS here. I've also got an export report that comes out so that I can see what projects were exported with this particular run. If I go into the uh, EPS file folder name, it's going to show me that I've got my XCRs here, as well as a log file and a text file, so that I can use those to get information about that export. So I'm going to go into the scrubber area now. Now, P6 Scrubber is a tool that we have um, at Emerald that scrubs out any type or remaps or does whatever you need to clean up your file in P6 or before you put it into a new P6 area. So I'm just going to come over and show you that tool. Excuse me. I'm going to show you that tool. And so what happens is you set up a definition of how you want to handle the data in that XCR, whether you want to remap it, take data out, etc. And what this does is it controls what you're loading into your new database so that you don't pollute those types of items, data in your database when you import that file. So I have a definition that I have already created here, and that's called my SQLite database XCR scrub. So this is the one I'm going to use to scrub my files prior to importing them into P6. So when I do that, what I need to do in the scrub module is I need to point it to my P6 scrubber. I need to basically put in a password to access that. And then I can choose which profile I want to use or definition I want to use from P6 Scrubber. So if I open this up, you can see that I've got several available for me. So I'm going to use the one I just showed you. I'm going to tell it the folder where I want it to get the XCRs from to scrub them. And then I am telling it the folder that I want the output to go to. So very simple. Once you have set this up, you can go ahead and run this module, and it's going to go out. It's going to use that definition to scrub out the data or change the data as I need it to, so that it is not going to pollute my database that this uh, file is going to go into. So it's processed my first file, and it's working on my second file. So as it's doing this, we can go in and we can look at the scrubber output file. So you're going to get 3 folders. If you have any of the error out, they are going to go into this error folder. So for whatever reason, P6 Scrubber could not handle the scrub on that, and it would give you an error. You'd be able to see which projects or which files those errors were found on. There's also a success folder. And again, I've got my EPS that it is associated with from my initial database, and my 2 files that I am going to, now they're clean, I can import them into P6. I also have an output folder. And this output folder is going to give you a little bit more information. It's going to give you the files as well as a report that P6 Scrubber produced so that you can see what changed in this file when P6 Scrubber was run on it. So I have my files, they're clean, and they're ready to import into my P6 database. Now, I'm going to use the option of importing into a database that I had already or into an EPS that I had already defined. So I'm going to show you that EPS node in my P6. So I'm going to open this up. And what you can see here is I actually have an EPS node that I want to import those files into. Now, there are some other options as well as to where you're going to import uh, that file as well. I'm just going to use this option. So I'm going to go into the import module. So again, I'm identifying which version of P6 that I'm going to be running this on. I do have that enabled, so we're going to see P6 close down once this is running. I also have these P6 app parameters. What this is with older versions of P6, sometimes you need to put some extra parameters in there in order for the tool to work. But since I'm using version 24, I don't need to have any of those parameters in there. I'm identifying which database is I'm going to import those projects into, giving it a sign on. And this is where I am putting what EPS I want that import to come into. So these files are going to be imported into that SQLite importer utility EPS. I'm also telling it where I want those files to come from. Where do I want to retrieve the files that I'm going to import? So I have some options down here. I'm going to select the option that I want to import into the EPS that I identified up at the top. However, I could also use the folder name that my EPS is in. So when I exported, I had a folder name for the EPS that it belonged to. I may have a matching EPS in my database that I could import those into as well. So if they come from different EPS structures and you have the same EPS structures in your database that you're importing into, it would put those into the proper EPS structure. I could also use the folder properties to find the EPS to land the project in. So I'm ready to import my projects now. So I just go ahead and click run, and it's going to terminate my P6 so that it is successful when it imports those projects in. And it logs in each time that it is importing a project. Now, the beauty of this particular utility is that you may have projects that you're wanting to move from one database to another, and there are quite a few of them. So having to export from your source database, then clean up the files manually with P6 Scrubber, and then import them manually into the new database is really going to be a little bit time consuming. So what this does is basically you can set off each one of these modules and let it run in the background. You could go and do anything else, maybe do some more work, things like that, and then come back when the module has completed and then run the next module. So you do have, it's a lot less time consuming, it's a lot more or a lot less labor intensive. So it's finished my project import. So I can go ahead and launch P6 again, and I'm going to show you where those projects were imported to. Okay, so if I close this down and we can see our EPS node here, let me just get this out of the way. I can now see that those two projects that I had exported, cleaned up, they have now been imported, and they are in the proper EPS node that I needed them to go into. So if there are any questions, go ahead and I don't see any right now. So if there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides again. Um, we do have some upcoming mini webinars that we are also going to present. These mini webinars are meant to show you some of the functionality of some of our tools so that that we don't necessarily cover in a full webinar of the tool, but because there are a lot of different aspects to our tools. So we do have some that are coming up, and if you would like to join any of these, you're welcome to. We encourage you to come see what kind of offerings we have, and we have our new Gantt chart, our BI Gantt view coming up, as well as some OPC mini webinars, things like that. So there's a unifier one coming up as well. And we'll be having a few more in the upcoming month and months in November as well, just to kind of highlight some of the things that we can do in some of the tools that we support. So if you'd like further information about any of our tools, you can certainly reach out to me. My email and my contact information is on the screen here. And if you are in the Philippines area or in that part of the world, you can also reach out to Donna, who can help you out there. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to stop the recording.